I'm going to go ahead and look at how to install the AWS CLI. And then after we've installed the AWS CLI, I want to configure it so that I have a fake access key and secret access key because I want to work locally. So on my local machine I want to be working from. And in order to work locally, I want to install DynamoDB locally, create a database, so create a table within DynamoDB, and then I want to load DynamoDB with our seed data so that I can work locally. Okay, so I've already started by downloading the seed data that I want to use for my application. And with the seed data, what I want to do is I want to open that with Atom. And the seed data that I have, so I don't want the welcome guide here. I don't want to show the welcome. And then the seed data that I have, you'll notice, is tied to just baseball stats. I want to create a local copy of that, so I'm changing the table name. So that's for teams.json. And I'm going to add a project folder, which is that folder that's on my desktop. So teams is taken care of, games I want to take care of, and then players I want to take care of. And this is what I want to use as my seed data to load this data into a local copy of DynamoDB. Okay, so in order to do that, out on Blackboard, I have a couple of links. So the seed data is what we started with, and then I have a link to the AWS CLI installer, so let's start there. So I want to install the AWS command line interface, and I'm using my Mac, so I want to go to installing the AWS CLI version 2, and I want to install it on my Mac. And in order to do that, I'm going to download this package file, double click the downloaded file, and launch the installer. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Okay, so I'm saving it on my desktop. I'm going to go ahead and run that installer. I'm just going to agree to the license terms. It's prompting me for my administrative password. It says the installation was successful. I should be able to see that. So if I'm going to go ahead and open up a terminal window, I should be able to see the AWS 2 -- version. And let's try that with just AWS. Okay, so it looks like it installs that with the command just AWS. Okay, so this is the version 2. It looks like it's version 2. We can see that in the terminal window. So we're all set there. So AWS CLI is installed. Because it's installed, I want to configure it. And when I configure it, it's asking for an access key ID. This is going to be tied to my IAM users. So in my IAM user accounts, I can request a key credential, so public and private keys. It doesn't matter what I type here because I want to be working locally. The only thing that does matter is I do need to have a region. So I'm putting in US East 1, and then I'm all configured there. Okay, so life's good there. So I have the AWS CLI installed. That's kind of step 1 as I got the command line installer. Now I need to install DynamoDB locally. So I'm going to go ahead and click that. And there's a download file. So I'm going to go ahead and download this. And it looks like US West is the closest region. So I'm going to go ahead and download this tarball. I'm going to save it, not on my desktop, but in my profile directory. Okay, and then I should be able to see that. So if I go to my profile directory, here's that file. I'm going to go ahead and create an AWS directory for it. So I'm going to create an AWS directory, and then this is going to go in there. And then if I am in here, I can just double click to extract it. And then I no longer need the tarball. And if I look at this file, it's a Java application. Okay, so you can see this dynamodb.jar file. Okay, so life's good there. And then in order to start this up, I'm going to need this. Okay, so I'm going to need to run this command Okay, so in order to start it, navigate to the directory where you extracted the jar file and enter the following command. So I need to navigate to that directory where I have the installation. So I'm on a terminal window right now. If I do my directory listing, I can change my working directory into AWS. If I do my directory listing now, I have the DynamoDB, so I can change my working directory there. If I do my directory listing now, you can see I'm in the same directory as that jar file and that local lib. So I can run this Java command and bring it over to my terminal. So I just copied and pasted it. And you'll notice what ends up happening is DynamoDB with the following configuration. So I'm running DynamoDB on port 8000 right now. Okay. So what I want to do is I want to actually look at that database. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to open another tab in my terminal. So I'm just using Command T on my Mac. So this is another tab. It puts me in the same working directory. Okay, and